Senator Ossoff from Georgia is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Chairman Gensler, great to see you. Thanks for your service. Thank you for your testimony.
Senator Ossoff, good to see you again.
I have routinely asked you this question. I've also put this question periodically to Chair Powell and to Secretary Yellen. What do you see as the most significant threats to financial stability? Or to put it another way, what keeps you up at night?
You don't want me to say my daughters. Okay. Look, I think in terms of we are living in uncertain times. I don't need to say this, but with the war in Eastern Europe and Ukraine, with central banks around the globe moving from accommodating to tightening, with the remaining, challenges, geopolitical challenges between great nations and also with COVID and commodity prices. All of that in the mix. What I look at and think about is the relationship between the banking sector and the hedge fund sector and investors, the relationship between the banking sector and commodity traders. That's called a prime brokerage relationship, and those relationships I really do think a lot about. I think about resiliency in the market, and that's why we have about a dozen or 15 projects. In the Treasury market, what we're trying to do, in money market funds and open-end funds, shortening the settlement cycle and the like. I think that if we do our job well at the SEC, we'll build greater resiliency for the stresses that come in the future. And those stresses come because that's what an economy, we always have ups and downs in economies. So we have these longer-term projects, but near-term, it's these issues that I just raised.
Let's talk a little bit about the Treasury market. You highlighted that in previous testimony. You issued proposed rulemaking in the last several days. Can you please break down into layperson's terms the nature of concern about illiquidity in Treasury markets and how the actions you're proposing to consider taking would address them?
So I would say to the American public, it's a big market. It's a quarter of our entire capital markets, $24 trillion. You can think of it as the base. It's sort of the foundation of our financial house. Everything else is built upon the Treasury market. And what we've found is we've had real disruptions, call them jitters. I hate to say it in the house way. It's like there's some termites somewhere in the foundation every few years. We had them in the 1980s and 1990s, and we had them in the last 6 years. And it puts some pressure on our central bank, the Federal Reserve, that sometimes then opens up and provides, using its balance sheet liquidity to the marketplace, sort of as a lender of last resort. I think that we can lower the risk in that marketplace by ensuring that all the dealers, the high-frequency trading dealers, are registered and regulated. Secondly, that where the trading happens, these are trading platforms, are regulated, and some of those aren't. And really importantly, getting the benefits of something that sounds boring, but it's called clearing. It's the back office, which lowers risk in the system. So those are the main things. We've worked really closely with Secretary Yellen and her team and Chair Powell and his team on those proposals.
Do you think that the persistent concern about illiquidity in Treasury markets threatens the Fed's ability to execute open market operations in a crisis?
I think, if I might say, if we do these suite of proposals in the Treasury market, it will bring greater competition. There historically was a group of primary dealers, then that started to broaden out to these principal trading firms, high-frequency trading firms, and others. And I think that we'll build greater resiliency and also increase some competition in the marketplace.
Okay, let's follow up on this, and I'll have my office get with yours.
And I'd love to have a meeting.
And with my brief remaining time, I want to ask about something of particular concern to Georgians. We have thriving military communities, base communities, veteran communities in Georgia. The SEC has, in the past and as recently as December of 2021, filed emergency action to shut down a multi-million-dollar Ponzi scheme that targeted retirement funds held by veterans. like to ask for your commitment that under your leadership, the SEC will redouble and intensify its efforts to ensure that within your jurisdiction, you are identifying and cracking down on schemes that could defraud or harm America's veterans.
You have that, and I would also say to all Georgians and veterans, if you see something, we have a tips complaint referral system. We have a whistleblower system. Please let us know. Let the SEC know. We're a little understaffed. I think we should have more staff, but let us know. We'll try to follow up and pursue those leads as people see them.
We'll pass that along.
Thank you, Senator Ossoff. Senator Hagerty from Tennessee is recognized.